Okay, I have finished everything else, and now I'm going to do the bindings. All of the pages are now on, and what I have done is I have put extra score tape on the back of here so that I can solidify where the knots and everything else from the thread were made. So that way each piece is on there nice and solid. Now there is some movement and play in the pages. That's just because, you know, nobody's perfect with stitching and getting it tight because I didn't use a sewing machine. I used it by hand. But that's perfectly okay because this book is going to be, like I said, it's going to be pretty heavy and solid. The binding comes out to be just about shy of 2 inches. It's actually a little bit over. It's like 2 1/4. Which is fine because that will sit right there on that. Now, the different thing with this book compared to most mini albums is that the spine on this one is actually what's going to hold the book together. There's not going to be any other kind of manipulation or anything else. This is actually going to go directly to this spine. And what's really nice about this type of binding is even if your pages are like this, no matter what you do, it will sit flat because of the way that the pages have been adhered down onto this piece here. So that binding doesn't have to be flexible. And that's what's really, really nice, I think, about this style of binding. Because you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about this bending and being flexible this way or that way. It doesn't have to be at all. It can be absolutely flat and solid. So, good thing about that. Okay, because you can see even when it sets down, it kind of wants to lay flat. Again, all I have done is used my score tape to go ahead and line my chipboard piece to create this binding on the outside for the book cover itself. And all I am using on the outside is just simple cardstock. Okay, I'm going to leave about a little over 1/4 of an inch around the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just really eyeballing it. You can, you know, measure it out however you want. That's perfectly fine. The reason I use the score tape is because I do like how well it holds. When I'm using the bigger score tape here, I don't like to tear it. I do like to cut it to get the nice edge, just because I like having that. But I want my binding to hold, and so score tape for me is just the way to go. And it's just as, you know, same price as the ATG and everything else. And I don't like wet adhesives because they tend to wrinkle papers. The only ones that I have found that haven't or don't wrinkle my papers that I will use on the outside sometimes is I will use fabric tack, or I will use zip dry. I just don't really feel like doing that right now. What I am doing, I am going to leave approximately 1/8 of an inch, if not a little bit more of space in between these to allow this outside piece to fold over just a little bit. Because one of the other things that you'll see with this album, when you do your edges, you're going to have a little bit of an overlap, and you do kind of want to make sure that that doesn't interfere in this hinging, or what will actually happen, believe it or not, is this piece here will actually cut eventually to this piece. But what I am going to do is I'm going to have another piece on the inside covering this, so this will be reinforced with another piece of cardstock as well. And I will put a bead of fabric tack in here to adhere these two cardstock pieces together with some glue bonding it. I may also use my score tape depending on whether or not I have any more of my 1/8 inch. Ah, I do. Okay. So yeah, I may actually go ahead and put score tape in through here because this will actually fit. So that'll be fine. Okay, now the other edge for this will actually fit, and I am going to adhere this on like that. The reason being is because if I get overlap onto the spine here, it will actually work better for my spine. But what I do want to do first before I connect this piece here is get another piece and measure it out, because I don't want this edge showing. I want that to actually bind an overlap here in the middle, because this is all going to be covered with this again. So I can have any kind of overlap in here and it's not going to show. I'm not going to worry about that. But I want this piece like this overlapping because I want the strength of two pieces on one of these edges. Okay. So that will be just slightly on there. That's the right size. Again, give that same margin. Doesn't have to be completely exact. I just eyeball it really nicely and get that down. Okay, and then I'm going to, I'm a lefty, so forgive me. Like I said, it's just over ½ inch on each side, so nope, not quite. There we go. Everybody is different how they like to fold theirs over. I do like to miter my corners a little bit so that I get a nice clean piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will not go over the corners because I do think that it bulks it up too much. So I go ahead and I clip all the way to those corners so that I don't have anything on that corner. A lot of times too, because I cover most of those corners with like the Tim Holtz. For this piece here, the only thing that I'm going to miter, I am going to miter in here a little bit, but I'm going to fold it inside to here so that it doesn't create any kind of cuts and interfere with that. Okay, so I'm going to fold this in and then miter it again. Okay, just get that inside to there. I mitered that the wrong way. That was silly. Okay. Okay. And again, keep the stability of that edge a little bit. Okay. go ahead and put my score tape on the inside of there as soon as I can find my edge. Oh my gosh. Wow, that blended in really well. And you'll have to forgive me a little bit. I am actually a really fairly decent eyeballer, so I do tend to just go with it a lot and not use exact precise measurements. If you do need those measurements, ask me and I can probably come up with something. I just messed that up. Get in there. There we go. Stay in there. Does not want to stay. Okay. Okay, finish up this. With the smaller pieces on the inside, I'm not worried too much about tackiness on the outside because I will have another piece of paper come over the top of that I'll adhere down, so I'm not worried about that. But I do want these edges nice and strong on adhesive. Oops, I missed one. So I will use the score tape for that. Get down there. Okay. And since this is not a wet adhesive, you can go ahead and there's a lot more play and time that you can spend on getting your corners rounded and doing your edges all nice and pretty and getting them together. Like I said, I will probably on this album use Tim Holtz's corner pieces. So again, on the corners I did not have a lot of fold over for that because I'm just simply not gonna mess with it, and I want a nice pretty corner piece. I also have the We Are Memory Keepers corner pieces as well, and I don't know if I had any red or white pieces of that, but I will check and see, and if I do, then I might actually use those instead of the Tim Holtz, because they were a little bit more inexpensive, and this is not, this is just an album for me. Ugh, it's getting lots of adhesive on it. Okay. All right. And you can just kind of fold and roll these. They don't have to be perfect. It's going to have a lot of play and a lot of give to it. So, but you get the general idea. Okay, and like I said, there's going to be